What is going on, everybody? It is your boy Dylan from last week in Wrestling Podcast. And of course, today is Monday Fun Day, not Sunday Fun Day, because we were supposed to do this podcast yesterday, but I had a couple other things I had to take care of, as well as I need a little bit of a break. So we decided to do it on a Monday instead. It kind of worked out for the better that way anyway. But of course, we started a little early since Monday Night Raw tonight has a big show, including Seth Rollins talking about none other than his recent injury with his recent match that he had last Monday with Jinder Mahal, tearing his MCL and ACL and everything else in his knee, and the fact that he will be out for about 3 to 4 to possibly 5 weeks, close to WrestleMania, which we'll briefly talk about that later on in today's show. But today is all about the independent scene, TNA, New Japan, and so much more. Of course, like I said, I am your host, Dylan from Last Week in Wrestling Podcast, and none other than the indie king himself of content creation, my man Leo from Kicking It with Leo. Leo, how are you, buddy?
I am great. I am feeling great, and I'm ready to talk some wrestling. I've been looking forward to doing this for a while, so I'm here. The day's finally here.
Absolutely, absolutely. And of course, tonight we are brought to you by the Main Event Network as well as NordVPN, but we'll talk about all of those good stream partners later on in the show. My guy, what a week. What a couple of weeks
Yeah,
we have had since TNA's Hard to Kill pay per view has come and aired and debuted. Of course, we talked about TNA's Hard to Kill a little while ago, but nonetheless, let's kind of get deeper into it only because we not only had Nick Nemeth debuting and showing off his possible next feud with none other than the TNA brand new world champion Moose from Moose and Alex Shelley's amazing match that they had one-on-one at Hard to Kill. But of course, Dana Brooke, your wife, none other than Ash by Elegance herself, was there and made a statement as well in the recent show, Snake Eyes, with her beautiful vignette talking about how she's ready to get back in the ring and everything else in between. I am very excited for her. I know you are very excited for her as well. But Leo, let's talk about Hard to Kill for a little bit here
hmm
as we'll get right into the first part of the show. Hard to Kill, amazing pay per view. I think honestly, this was a perfect way to start off 2024 for
Indeed.
TNA. I know TNA has had, of course, its hand in the cookie jar when it comes to giving out amazing pay per views each and every time. Their shows have never not been stellar or at least high quality and delivering high quality content. But of course, there were some things that we did notice that maybe were a little lackluster when it came to some of the matches. One of them being Decay. Decay coming back after such a time and getting back into that wrestling ring, facing those ex women's champions themselves. Let's talk about them for a little bit. What are we thinking? Do we think that this was a perfect spot to showcase Decay at the time that they've been away for quite a bit due to whatever the situation was they had back in 2023 to
hmm
now showcasing them on Hard to Kill with, of course, the likes of Nick Nemeth and, of course, Ash by Wednesday? I'm sorry, Ash by Elegance.
I feel like it was a good return. Don't get me wrong. I feel like the thing is with them coming back, it felt like it was overshadowed in a way. I feel
Yeah.
like if you look at the pay per view and where they were placed, with so much going on, like you just said, Nick Nemeth showing up at the end of the show, and then Ash by Elegance, and then everything else that happened took place on the show, like a new reset for TNA altogether. So going into the show, the way I looked at it and the way it looks to me, I feel like it just was overshadowed just because of everything going on. I feel like if I was Scott Demore, I would have waited until maybe like a future episode of TNA to where it can seem more like a standout than just seem like it was just there and people tend to forget.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a perfect way of talking about it here because, you know, Nick Nemeth's such a big name currently now, especially after him, formerly known as Dolph Ziggler, now being called Nick Nemeth. debuted at New Japan with his brother, Ryan Nemeth, and then coming down the line into Hard to Kill, which I didn't expect. They talked about this Worlds Collide, talked about, big decisions are going to be made. And a lot of people made fun of the idea that it could be none other than AJ Francis, Top Dollar being the big name, of course. That was quickly washed away when, of course, we saw none other than Dolph Ziggler in action over there. I was very happy to see that. But the other thing is Ash by Elegance. Now, we already saw her somewhat wrestle in the independent scene prior to her big thing in WWE, big name in NXT. No?
No, because actually she never wrestled before. Like, she never did the indies or anything. So now this is for her first time actually being outside of WWE wrestling. So she never wrestled before WWE.
She's
Before
never
that,
wrestled in the independent scene.
nope. This is the
Okay,
first time.
that's new news to me. I read a wrong article somewhere on the internet. See, folks, make sure you read the right shit, because otherwise you look like a fool when talking about things. But I know of her work, for sure, in NXT,
Hmm.
and then of course being Dana Brooke over in WWE, which is where you fell in love with her even more than her NXT career and everything. But let's talk about Ash.
Hmm.
What do we think, or how do we feel about the women's roster now currently, with of course the brand new X Division #1 contender, the brand new women's champion Jordan Grace, all now setting up potential feuds and rivalries going into 2024, and of course the next big TNA pay-per-view that'll be coming up later in February. Do we think that this is that perfect time for her to kind of get her name out there with what we have in store, Zaya Brookside and, Jody Thread and everyone else that has performed in that time? Or do we think that it is maybe a waiting game to where we'll see Ash finally step into the ring, kind of like how we're doing with Jade Cargill when that moment is truly right? Because, like you just said, and this is the first thought that comes to my head, is she hasn't wrestled anywhere else except WWE. So
Hmm.
she's used to a different wrestling style and technique. Now, that might have to not be so much carried over when it comes to TNA wrestling. But now, is
Right.
that where we'll have to put her on the sideline until she has given that green light? Or do we think that she could kind of just jump right in there and get right to business?
I mean, it depends on how you look at it. I feel like for me, I feel like she's gonna definitely fit in with the women's roster there, at least the knockouts division. If you look at the knockouts division, like they have like the best women's roster in all of pro wrestling, from AEW to WWE, you name it. They have the best division. They use their women frequently, night in and night out. Each one on that roster you will see pretty much frequently, week in and week out, on your television screens. And I just got an update that she did compete in her first match over the weekend. I'm not going to do any spoilers here, but she just had her first match over the weekend. And I feel like the way they're setting it up, she is going to be a potential star, a big name in that division. Because if you look at the names that they've had before, look, we had Deonna Purrazzo. She's on her way out. She's already went to AEW. You got someone like a Trinity. She's possibly going back to WWE. So it seems like right now they're in need of having a new potential top star there. Now, I'm not saying that the women that they have there can't be top stars, because they have, big caliber names that have made their name in TNA. And I think someone like a Ash by Elegance or Dana Brooke, whatever you want to call her, is definitely worth noting to be added to that list, just because, yeah, she definitely came from a different, background on the other side of the track as far as wrestling goes, but she still has that experience nonetheless. Like that 10 years that she spent in WWE, she's coming into TNA as somewhat of a locker room leader to an extent, or like a veteran, just because of the accolades that she had before that. I mean, look at Jordan Grace. Look, like there are some parallels there. Jordan Grace did, bodybuilding and modeling and stuff like that and all that. Dana Brooke can say that she's done the same thing. So there is a potential matchup right there. And they've already kind of been teasing it as of right now. So I do think at some point in time, they're going to pull the trigger on that feud. But I think right now the case is her coming in and trying to make a statement. I think that's what they're trying to do. Have her make a statement, go through some of the roster, and have her build herself up to be looked at as a top level name before she goes after that knockout championship.
Yeah, that's a very good way of putting it. Let me ask you this now. We're gonna stay on this for a little bit, and then we'll start
Hmm.
talking about some Snake Eyes stuff in just a wee bit. But
Right.
Dana Brooke, Ash by Elegance, whatever we are calling her, I know those names kind of
Yeah.
coincide with one another. Some people are having a hard time with Ash by Elegance, and I want to beg the question to you too: is the name
Hmm.
Ash by Elegance, is that the name? If you were Scott D'Amore, you're going to be calling someone that has that WWE style background, that notoriety, that name, and that weight of a name coming over to another big promotion like TNA, or what would we
Hmm.
be calling her instead? And the other one is, who did she face recently? If you could tell us, and how did that match kind of go for her when you were just explaining with Jordan Grace and Zaya Brookside and everybody else, how that kind of is setting up her potential going after the women's championship.
Well, I'm about to look up the person she faced just recently, but as far as like you were just saying, I feel like it's only a matter. I don't, but the name, I don't know. I'm one of those guys. It's like I want to wait to see things play out. But if, like you said, if I was Scott Demore, I wouldn't have gone with the name. I get it. You want to go with something someone no one else has, and to make yourself stand out. And I'm totally fine with that. But it like we I mean we made alluded to before. It does kind of sound like a cologne brand
A
in a
perfume,
sense,
yeah.
like a perfume. Not saying that, that's what Ash Bat Elegance is or like the wrestler, but the name, it makes you feel that way. Now, if it was me, I would just call her Ashley Sabrera. Like that name would have been fine. Or if you just want to call her Ash, or if you want to call her Ashley, like you could have just done that and I would have been fine with it. But the elegance part is just kind of throwing me off. It just giving me mixed emotions, you know what I mean?
Does
But I wish it would have been
does it give
Ashley
you
Sabrera.
does see when I see her and I see her vignette and I
Right.
see that character that she's trying to allude to, it gives me a lot of the timeless Tony Storm familiarity of it all. It kind of gives me, I'm not saying her wrestling style is Tony Storm, but the character's look does give me a very AEW Tony Storm feel. It does give me this feel of, you know, almost a copy and paste
Mhm.
of that type of character. Does that also resonate with you at all? Or do you think that, Ashley Cabrera could be something different than Timeless Tony Storm? I mean, of course, when it comes down to it in the ring, they are two different competitors. They are two
Right.
different styles of women. They're two different
Mhm.
styles of wrestling. But
Yeah.
character wise, does it feel more or less like, mm, this kind of reminds me of Tony Storm? This the person that she's with kind of reminds me of Luther, kind of walking around with her. She's dressed up in diamonds, she's dressed up in elegance, she's dressed to the Niles in this custom clothing, the hairdo, the makeup. It's like it seems like a pattern of copying and pasting when it comes to something like that. Does that resonate with you at all?
I mean, I can see what a lot of people are going for. I can see what a lot of people are trying to allude to. But I feel like for her, I think what she's gonna try to do is try to make, the character, much different from what, not Tiffany, but Tony Storm's is. Because I mean, Tony Storm, yeah, I could see what people are saying. You look at, Dana Brooke showing up at TNA and she has like this manager with her. You could kind of make allusions to, how, you know, Tony Storm is with Luther and AEW. But I feel like at some point, I think we can't really judge it. We have to kind of really see how it plays out. Um, People can't really be so quick to judge just off your first impression. Sometimes it's just a sense of just like waiting things out and see how it plays out, and give it like a couple of weeks to a couple of months, and then give your judgment. That's kind of how where I am. But I feel like what she's gonna do is she's definitely gonna try to make the character be able to stand out and work for her, and be able to make it a different, overall aura than what we see from Tony Storm at AEW.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope so too. And again, we're talking about two different people. We're talking about two different wrestling styles. We're talking about two
Yep.
different approaches to wrestling itself. And I think that alone is that difference maker when it comes to the comparisons of Tony Storm v um, you know, uh Ash by Elegance, Dana Brooke.
Hmm.
It's that, very much people, like you said, are quick to judge, quick to already analyze the fact that these two characters are the same. They're mimicking, they're copying this, that, and the third. And it just seems like, we have to really see how that character is going to be addressed, how that character is going to perform and do the promos and vignettes. Because if so, then yes, it's very much a copy and paste version of Tony Storm, while others are going to be wrong. And I think that there is going to be a little bit of a different spin on Ash by Elegance when she is finally able to come out of that shell and come into her own and really start showing you what she has. But now going over to Snake Eyes for a little bit. I know you're still looking up the name of the opponent that she had
Hmm.
faced. Snake Eyes was definitely one of those shows that I was very, very excited for. We had a lot of matches that were cut, though, due to the fact that they kind of turned it more into a TV show than a pay per view that they first alluded to, as they just had prior to that week. Hard to Kill. The PCO match was in there. Of course, Will Ospreay and Josh Alexander was in there. The Nick Nemeth promo was in there, but Nick Nemeth versus Wentz was not in there. Zachary Wentz was not in there. Rhino match was not in there, and a bunch of others were not in there as well. And with that being said, did we feel like we needed a back-to-back pay-per-view? Did it feel like what we got at Hard to Kill was more than enough of a first step forward into showing that TNA's back? TNA has all this brand new action-packed competition that's going to be kicking down the front door when it's time to throw that TV on to Thursday nights? Or do we think that maybe Snake Eyes was a little lackluster in that card and we needed a couple of those extra matches to really bring it home to show that TNA is back?
Um, yeah, I feel like I'm in the same situation there. I feel like it was kind of one of those situations where we seen Hard to Kill be very successful. And I feel like for Snake Eyes, it was a lot of pressure on Snake Eyes to be able to live up to those expectations and follow up a great show following a great pay-per-view. And we've seen that so many times where, we have a great pay-per-view and the show that follows it doesn't meet the expectations that a lot of the fans want to see. So it's one of those situations, like I said, I mean, it was kind of hard to follow up since the show was very high profile.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. And I definitely say that there's a couple matches on there. I'm gonna go grab the card here from the watch along that we did for TNA. And of course, if you have not done your homework or not have seen it yet, please go ahead and watch it, because I tell you now, it was an amazing, amazing card. PCO and Jai Vidal. How do you pronounce the guy's name?
Vidal,
Vidal? Is it
yeah,
Vidal?
Vidal, I think, yeah,
I think it's
Vidal,
Vidal too. Okay.
yeah.
Okada versus and the Motor City Machine Guns versus the System. A great match as well. Josh Alexander and Osprey. Um, we were also getting the Grizzled Young Vets versus Eric Young, Frankie Kazarian. And let's talk about that in a second. So Isaiah Brookside's singles debut happened against none other than Tasha Steele. And of course, the fatal six-man match with it, which is Jake Something, Kushida, El Hijo del Vikingo, Trey Miguel, Leonardo King, and Speedball Mike Bailey, which started off the actual show itself.
Mm-hmm.
A hell of a card
Yeah,
already. Like
indeed.
this was definitely that little dessert to that great main course and appetizer that Hard to Kill was offering us just a week prior, and back-to-back matches with none other than the Grizzled Young Veterans and Eric Young and Frankie Kazarian really shows that they're also believing in their tag team division very, very hard this year. This year coming up, and I'm very excited as well as their women's division with that debut of Zaya Brookside's singles career against Tasha Steeles. But let's talk about some of these matches. And like I said, let's talk about that Eric Young, Frankie Kazarian. What a match. The match
Yeah,
itself was fantastic, but it's after the match that kind of had a lot more people
had
talking.
more people talking for sure.
Yeah, and it's the fact that Frankie Kazarian turned on his partner, Eric Young, right after the match was over, setting up the potential feud of Eric Young and Frankie Kazarian one-on-one singles action down the road, and possibly a tape show that we'll see coming up on one of these Thursdays. Talk to me. How do we feel about it? I mean, Jesus, man.
I, I was just as shocked as anybody else because that's one of the things I never would have thought would have happened, especially after the match until it happened. And I'm like, oh, they actually did this. And I cannot remember the last time I seen Frankie Kazarian in a heel role. Maybe it was a long time ago or something. I don't know. But I do think this is a great way to kind of, revitalize his career in a sense and kind of freshen up his character. He's kind of had definitely been one of those characters that I've seen on my television screen where, he's a great wrestler, but his character is very self. So I'm kind of interested to see, with now his character being freshened up a bit, what is it, the landscape going to look like with someone like him in that role, and what will his motives be, what he wants to be able to accomplish. So that's one of the things that I want to see from him, and this perfect feud that we could be having with him and Eric Young, who's somebody who has definitely accomplished a lot in TNA as well, being a former world champion on numerous occasions as well. So I'm definitely looking forward to this feud, and how can they, keep both characters looking strong depending on how the feud plays out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Frankie Kazarian, Eric Young has been in this wrestling business for well over 10 plus years, if not 20.
Mm-hmm.
And he has yet again proven not only at Hard to Kill, but in this little Snake Eyes TV show that he still has it. But the fact that they are having these two tag team all stars go at one another is very interesting because we already have that feud between Macklin and none other than Dolph Ziggler, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But we also have now Eric Young, Frankie Kazarian brothers when it comes to tag teams. Two heavy, hard brawlers, tag team guys going at one another, all because of a loss, not really one, but two losses back to back on TNA shows to start off 2024. And Frankie kind of said it in that promo. This is my year. This is my year. I am going to be the guy again. There is nobody that's going to go in my way and take it away from me. This is my year. And we figured he was alluding to them becoming the best tag teams of 2024, being champions for a very long time. But I guess this is what other plans he had in mind for us, because tonight we had, that night we had those two actually go at each other at the time of the when the match was all over. But let's talk about the Grizzled Vets, and then we'll kind of go on to Zachary and Macklin and Dolph Ziggler
Yeah.
back to back. Again, these guys, I saw them at House of Glory. I got to meet Zach and James. Great guys. Grizzled Young Vets are one of those tag teams that we need to keep our eyes out on, because these guys, if given the opportunity to take these tag team belts and run it, they're
Mm-hmm.
going to run it to the top.
Oh,
They are going
best
to run it
believe.
to the top. They put on a hell of a match in that fatal 4-way match with ABC, the Rascals, Speedball Mike Bailey, Leonardo Kid, and uh, what was was it Eric Young and no, it wasn't. Who was
In
the
the
last?
tag, it was
Yeah,
what
hold
was
on,
it? It was
let
supposed
me
to be.
look
It
it up.
was, I think it was Mike Bailey, and it was supposed to be Trent Seven, but Trent Seven got injured, so I think it was Sin Cara, but his indie name or whatnot.
Yes, yes. So, yeah, so Grizzled Young Vets, Mike Bailey, Trent Seven, but it was Sin Cara instead. ABC and the Rascals all going at each other for the World Tag Team Champions TNA titles that ABC were holding. Chris Bay, and then we're holding. But again, these guys are just top of the line. Now, when you see these types of moves, when you see these types of guys in
Right.
TNA, then going into House of Glory, then going into places like MLW, then going into places like a possibly AEW arena. Where do you think the Grizzled Young Vets will finally make their home and settle in to be the true name of that promotion? Do you think it's something like an AEW? Do you think that they found their home in TNA? Do you feel like they maybe just are those road warriors that are going to be going around and trying to find their best place possible to really give them an opportunity? What is it for you when it comes to your mind when you hear Grizzled Young Vets, and what's that promotion that you're thinking of when you hear that?
I mean, for Grizzled Young Vets, I mean, one of the very best at what they do. They give me an old school tag team wrestling feeling, just like FTR does. Just down to earth, just grizzled, very and heel. I mean, they're I feel like for one of those tag teams, especially in the world of tag team wrestling, I feel like they definitely come off as untapped potential for me. The reason why I feel like they're like I said, one of the very best at what they do. And it sucks that on a big scale like a WWE, they weren't able to display what they really can do. Because if you were paying attention to NXT UK, we've seen what they're capable of doing. And I was excited for what the future was going to hold for them after moving over to NXT. But coming up short time and time again in the Dusty Tag Team Classic, like when they were clear as they should have won at least some of them. And then never really getting to make it to that main roster stage, which was a big blow because I feel like they really could have done something with them on the tag team division or whether it was on Raw or SmackDown. They really could have. And and it sucks that they didn't do that. But now that them potentially being a team, and I feel like they should be signing with TNA because I think TNA is definitely should be wanting to get someone like a Grizzled Young Veterans for that tag team division. Like the tag team division is already stacked with different talents. Like you have ABC already, you have Subculture, like you have different tag teams that they can work with. You know what I mean? And I would love to see what they can really do. We've seen a little glimpse. I feel like this wasn't the full potential of them. I think what we've seen at Hard to Kill in that multi-man tag match for the tag titles was just a glimpse of what they can bring to the table in TNA. So I don't really think we've seen them at 100% like we know that they really can be.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect way of explaining it, and I kind of agree with you too. I mean, the NXT maybe at the time was still trying to figure out what to do with them because of their amazing capability, and maybe that's why they just couldn't find a real spot. And I agree, they should have just gave them a Dusty Rhodes tag team win in that tournament at least once. They were in it a bunch of times and still nothing. They came up short. Um, but I think maybe TNA, I think TNA is going to be that perfect spot for them with what they have to offer. They have amazing tag teams already that are coming in and out of TNA, and of course their own tag teams that are already established in TNA,
Agree.
that they could make their own name there. They could become TNA staples. They could become legendary tag team champions. They could even have singles runs as just themselves, Zach Gibson and James Drake, one-on-one, just to have that different advantage against everybody else. Because both of these guys, whether they're wrestling together or solo, they're talented. These guys are ready to go. This is a strong style. This is a aggressive, hard hitting, we're all over the place type of wrestling tag team that we haven't really seen in such a long time. You know, we've seen glimmers of it in other tag teams like the Briscoes or even Main Event or anybody like that. But generally speaking, we haven't really seen it as a consistency
Yeah,
throughout wrestling like someone like the grizzled young veteran. So I am very happy to see them and possibly see them more and more often at TNA. But now I know we talked about Dana Brooke, so we're going to talk a little bit more about Jungle Boy, which had all of us reeling from his little debut. I have the video here. We're going to get right into the actual video itself here, talking about the incident between him and him making his debut and everything in New Japan, and talking about his potential rivalries that he has coming up as a New Japan superstar. Let's take a look here. Hold on one second. I'm gonna pull it up so that way everybody could see. And oh, are we having a little trouble? I think so. We got a lot of I got a lot of screens going, so there we go. As he reaches into his pocket, he's pulling out his AEW contract right there. And of course, this is what had everybody talking. Ripped it in half.
yep.
Ripped it in half, people. Ripped it in half. And of course, now he's going to be pulling out the armband that is going to say none other than Scapegoat, as you can see right there. That Scapegoat right there. Unbelievable. This has a lot of people talking.
It
Okay.
sure does.
And I'll tell you this now. This was something that I did not expect. I did not expect Jungle Boy on my 2024 bingo card. I expected him back in AEW in 2023. I thought he was the devil in the mask that was doing everything to MJF over in AEW. I thought AEW and him squashed everything from that fallout to brawl out back at All In 2023 with CM Punk. But no, it seems like Jungle Boy is truly out of AEW. And now it is time for him to take his new leap into adventure with New Japan Strong Style. And of course, another one that just made his debut over there, none other than Matt Riddle as well, calling out Tanahashi for his title. Let's talk about it. Jungle Boy, Nick Nemeth, and everybody else. How are we feeling about Jungle Boy making his new start in New Japan Pro Wrestling?
I feel like for Jungle Boy, I think this is going to allow him to tap into a side that we may have not seen yet, to more of like that hard hitting style that we may have not got to see on AEW. And I feel like, New Japan is going to probably give him that opportunity to kind of show us as a fan a different side of him that we have not gotten to see from him, like that more aggressive side that I think he really should be able to bring out. And I think New Japan will be able to do so. I feel like we look at, him in AEW, right? One of the four pillars. But when it came to a lot of the fans, he was always just like that one that was the odd one out. We've seen, the other former other three pillars. We've seen MJF go on one of the longest reigns as AEW champion. We've seen Darby Allin become a multi-time TNT champion. We've seen Sammy Guevara, be able to do different things as being in AAA and being a mixed tag champion and being a TNT champion. All we know as for Jungle Boy, he was just there. He was in a tag team. That was it. And then he became FTW champion not too long after turning heel. So I feel like for him, this is an opportunity for him to kind of show the fans that he's just not just a regular guy. He's just not just there to be there. He's there to be the very best. He's there to no longer be overlooked when it comes to the four pillars. Like when you think of him in the four pillars, you know who Jungle Boy Jack Perry is. He wants his name to be known. I feel like him being in New Japan, he's definitely going to accomplish that.
Yeah, I do too. I think this is really a perfect spot for Jack Perry. I begged the question to myself, is AEW that perfect spot? And I really thought it was. I thought maybe they needed him there. I thought maybe they could use him now differently. That Punk is gone and there's a lot of change that is happening in AEW going into 2024. But it seems like New Japan might be that better suitable fit for someone like him, where he can now expand his wrestling style into multiple different cultures and avenues. He could learn from a lot more talented and legendary veterans that have been doing wrestling strong style and pro wrestling, in especially New Japan, a lot more quicker and more um, just a lot more. I know there's another word I'm looking for, but I can't seem to find it right now. But a lot more frequently is the word I'm looking for, than somewhere in AEW where there is a lot of roster, but not a lot of time to really do all of that. Jungle Boy's coming into a business where he needs to be more adaptive to his surroundings. Like you said, we know him as the Lucha Bros with Luchasaurus and uh Jungle Boy himself as that tag team. Then of course they had the feud. Jungle Boy then got buried Christian Cage, and then came back with this heel gimmick, Beethoven music. Didn't really work well.
No.
Did the four pillars thing, had some interesting promos, nothing to really make a name for himself, nothing to really stand on. Ability though never changed. His wrestling style never changed. That skill never changed. But it's time to upgrade. It's time to level up now into that next level of wrestling. And I think New Japan is going to take him to that spot. We now have, of course, Nick Nemeth that's going to be around there as well. None other than Matt Riddle is going to be there as well. And for now, we do have Will Ospreay before he comes officially to AEW sometime in February to train him and kind of give him some pointers and guidance to give him this new look and feel of who this new Jack Perry is going to be. But he looks more like a Jungle Man now than Jungle Boy, because he's got the beard, he's got the hair, he's a little more built, he's a little more well shaped to be in professional wrestling. He doesn't look so weak and nimble. He looks like he's ready to take on a lot more competition than maybe he once was. And New Japan is that perfect spot again that he can learn from the best of the best. And I think that this is a perfect spot for him. But who do we think could be his first feud? I mean, he went after the one gentleman in that match, but I can't remember the gentleman's name. I'm gonna have to Google it in a second. But is he going to make a big name? And who do we think could be his first feud in New Japan with? What are we thinking?
I mean, if you would have asked me a couple of months ago, I would have said maybe him and literally Will Ospreay. I feel like they could have made magic, but we know he's on his way to AEW. They have a lot of great talents there. If you're not mistaken, when does the G1 take place? Don't they take place? G1 takes place like around this time anyway. or
I don't
gets
think
ready?
it takes. I don't think it takes place around
Mania
this
or
time. I think it's in a couple of months. I don't think it's. I don't think it's like February or anything. I think it's like May, maybe April. Someone's gonna have to find that out for us.
let
But
me look that
yeah, I think it's yeah.
because he is somebody I think could have a spot in there and really have a great showing. I think a match that I'm thinking between him is him and Tanahashi. Him and Tanahashi, I feel like could actually be a potential great match. I mean, you got the different styles, of course, but I don't think that's going to hold him back. I mean, you can put him in the never open weight division. You can have him with the junior heavyweights. He can fit in a different amount of roles if you let him, and he can adapt. It's just the problem is, like we said, can he adapt to that role? Can he adapt to a certain situation? That's what's really going to be the true test right there. Because I'm telling you, they they have a lot that they can do. So it looks like the G1 usually takes place in September.
September. Yeah, yeah.
Usually takes place in September. So we still have a long way to go from September. But
Oh
I
yeah.
do think he is definitely going to be a mainstay in New Japan. Have some great dream matches with the likes of Tanahashi. At least if he stays in New Japan, maybe Okada. I think that could be interesting. We've seen him actually face for the IWGP World Championship last year, I believe, at Forbidden Door. And
Yep.
that match was better than a lot of people would have expected it to be. So
Yep.
this just letting you know, with now him having more of an aggression, the sky's the limit. I wouldn't be surprised if you were to tell me within the next couple of months or to a year, he's IWGP World Champion. I
That'd
wouldn't be
be
surprised.
huge.
That would be
That'd be
huge.
huge. That'd be huge because that proves to me that it was lack of creative vision for someone like Jungle Boy, and that they truly just didn't believe in someone like him. And now that letting him sky's the limit, like you said, in
Mm-hmm.
New Japan, is just going to truly, it's going to give him that freedom. It's going to
It
give him that range.
is.
He could also show up at TNA. He could
I
show up at
mean,
MLW now. He could show up at House of Glory. He could show up at New Japan Strong, all New Japan,
you
face
really
people in
can.
NXT now because we know NXT just brought over William Regal's son,
Yeah, because I know they're doing
the
little
partnership.
the little partnership. I don't know where a Jungle Boy does stand in the world of wrestling. If he gets signed to any company that he wants, if he's like a free agent, technically. I mean, him possibly being in a WWE ring possibly wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities. I don't know, but TNA is definitely a place I can definitely see him in because you look at the X divisions that you have there, and now you have the addition of a Nick Nemeth. And if you wanted to, if you wanted to dial it up even more, he could have some intergender matches because TNA does not shy away from intergender wrestling because they have a lot of opportunities year out where they have women wrestlers on their roster compete against the men wrestlers. And if you want to make this guy a complete package as a heel,
Yeah.
you dial it up. And not only does he just attack, like the male competitors, he doesn't mind attacking the women's competitors even more. So that's gonna definitely amp up his character because now it's in the sense of like, oh, he's unhinged. He
Right.
just doesn't care. He doesn't care if you're a male or a woman. If he wants to get you, he's gonna get you. And
Yeah.
this gives me a little flashbacks to Randy Orton, where he was a couple of decades ago with the whole legend killer gimmick. He didn't care if you were a male or a woman. You stepped in his way, you were gonna get pump kicked to next week. And I think
Correct.
this is something I can definitely see a character like this, like a legend killer almost type of character, where he's trying to justify that the legends are holding him back from reaching his full potential, taking spots that should belong to him to where
Yeah.
he can elevate his game to
Yeah.
be at the potential top star that he can be. That's a character I want to see. That's a character I can buy into. That whole smiley goody two shoes gimmicks, I can't buy into that.
Yeah.
Nobody can. Because it's like you
No.
don't have any dimensions to your character. Even if you're a face, you should have dimensions to your character to where they could see more of your personality. Like if you're in a desperate situation, that you're not afraid to act on it. If you're in a good situation, you're not afraid to act on that either. So there's dimensions that we need to see from his character that I feel like in AEW really didn't display like they should have. But I think a New Japan will be able to capitalize on that. And if he goes somewhere else, TNA is definitely somewhere I can see him landing, just because it's a wide open of opportunities there for him to continue to develop his character.
Yeah. No, perfectly said. Honestly, I echo a lot of what you just said, for sure, because I too think that, the Jungle Boy gimmick was getting stale. The sing alongs, all of that shit was getting a little stale. Him coming back as a heel, I thought it was a good idea, but the music wasn't it.
No.
The look of it wasn't it. The costumes weren't it. Coming in with the sunglasses, trying to be this tough guy after he was just doing a sing along a week or two prior. It
Yeah,
just it wasn't
it
it
didn't work.
wasn't him. It wasn't ready. Now having him have this time away from AEW, kind of us forgetting about Jungle Boy, now him coming into the more adult wrestling culture that AEW and WWE try to enhance with their sports entertainment. Now letting him have that free roam of creative and control is very exciting. And now I think, that the doors are open. And I think now he could be just somebody not to fuck with come 2024. Intergender matches would be wild. I mean, just seeing him wrestle anybody right now would be exciting. It only enhances his name and only puts more respect on his name. Like, I'm just so excited. I'm so excited to see what's next for him. I'm so excited to see what can be happening for him. Who he's going to face is more the question. But hey, we'll keep an eye. We will definitely keep an eye, and we're very happy for Jungle Boy's new look and new everything coming into 2024. And of course, Nick Nemeth saw him debut New
Mm-hmm.
Japan. Then we saw him do the crazy attack against David Finlay at the press conference, jumping
Yep.
across him, trying to choke him the fuck out right there, trying to take him out. And then now we saw him at TNA attack Moose, ripping his shirt, showing that he's TNA bound. Now cutting that amazing promo, talking about he's going to fall in the back of the line because he knows there's so many other great superstars, and he's not going to be that guy that just cuts the line to go after Moose's title. Who comes out during this promo? None other than Steve Macklin, former TNA World Champion, multi-time TNA World Champion, and he just lets them know, hey, listen, no one give a fuck about you now, and no one give a fuck about you when you were Dolph Ziggler. So just watch yourself because this isn't happening, buddy. And I
Yeah.
tell you now, as I paraphrase, this match I'm the most excited
Yeah.
for Nick Nemeth. Besides him and
Yes.
David Finlay,
Yeah.
this is going to be the match that we talk about for a little bit because Steve Macklin is an absolute, in my opinion, fantastic fighter.
Mm-hmm.
He is a fantastic fighter. I have watched some of his work after, of course, Hard to Kill. Amazingly talented in the ring. Dolph, though, I've watched Dolph for so many years, since 2008. And I tell you now,
Same.
you know, you're putting two goats together.
You are.
You're putting two
Indeed.
great superstars in a ring and just letting them go at it. And it's who's going to come out on top. Is this going to be that stepping stone for Nick Nemeth to climb his way to attack Moose from the system to take that belt and become the brand new TNA World Champion? Is this that stepping stone for possibly Steve Macklin to start his way up that ladder to Moose for the TNA World Championship? Could we see a potential three-way, a triple threat of these three gentlemen for Moose's title at a pay-per-view?
I
There's
mean,
a lot to talk about here,
it really
and
is.
possibilities are endless. So what do you say? What are we thinking?
I mean, when you look at where he came from and what he's doing now, I definitely think he is definitely on the cusp of something big in TNA. I think he will be a future world champion. I think him going up against Steve Macklin is a great way to bring him in, because Steve Macklin is one of the best that they have on the roster, someone that he can, definitely go toe to toe with. And I definitely think that this match, if it's a one-on-one, can have huge title implications on it, because whoever comes out this feud could definitely well be the be in the next step in line to go after that title. So whoever comes out this feud, I wouldn't be surprised if they're the next to step up to Moose for that TNA world title. I think right now, I think the way I look at it, I think we get maybe about a 5 month build, 5 months of build, but for Nick Nemeth, where he's just building himself up, having matches on TNA weekly, having matches on like some of the specials, and then maybe like the next pay-per-view. And then, because I know their biggest pay-per-view that they usually have is Slammiversary, which is kind of like their version of WrestleMania. It's like their version of WrestleMania in a sense. So I think you, from now, because I think that pay-per-view is in July, give it maybe a 6 month build where he's just constantly going through the roster and building himself and building up his credibility. And then when whoever's champion by then, have him be the one to take it. I really do think whoever should take the title from Moose should be Nick Nemeth. I just feel like the way they set everything up, the way everything played out at Hard to Kill, he's got to be the one to beat Moose for that title. And I do think that that's the route they're going in. I feel like they're going to keep the title on Moose until they get through this feud between him and Macklin. And then coming out of that, you can build towards his next feud, which I do think might be with Moose.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's a good way to put it. I
Speaking of
mean,
TNA, they have the next 2 weeks, looks like, for TV as far as the matches go. The card.
you have
For
the
the next
card.
2 weeks. Yeah, for the next 2 weeks, looks like. So this
All
was
right,
the
talk
first
about it.
show. The first lineup was taped on the 19th, so that probably be showing this Thursday. We
Right.
had Moose versus Kushida. Yeah. Nick Nemeth versus Trey Miguel.
Damn.
Eddie Edwards versus Alex Shelley.
Wow.
Chris Sabin versus Jason Hotch. I think I just said Josh Alexander, didn't I?
No.
Josh Alexander versus Alan Angels.
Wow.
And Trinity versus Giselle Shaw, who won the X Division Ultimate X match.
Okay.
And the next week was pretty much taped for on the 20th, so that probably the week after. We have Killer Kelly versus Danny Luna. Jake Something versus Frankie Kazarian, which will mark Frank Kazarian's return match after turning on Eric Young. Digital Media Champion Crazy Steve defends against Rhino. Yeah.
What the fuck? What the fuck? Of course. Rhino, out of all people.
Tasha Steelz versus Zaya Brookside.
Okay, that's a good one.
Moose, Brian Myers, and Eddie Edwards versus Alex Shelley, Kushida, and Kevin Knight.
Ooh.
And Ash by Elegance makes her in-ring debut.
Wow. So that's not this week. That's next Thursday.
Apparently. But they don't know where they could. What they could always do is with the tapings, they can choose which one should be shown which week.
Well, I know this week I cannot do the watch along because I have a very
next week.
Yeah, next week I'm definitely in.
Yeah,
I'm definitely in. I'm definitely in next week. I'll tell you that. But yeah, that's I really hope I get to watch Ash by Elegance debut for sure.
Yeah, to see what comes out of it.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. And yeah, that's definitely something I wanna see for sure. But it's pretty good cards. The Kushida Moose match is
there's the Styles, man.
That's
Make the Styles a cruiserweight going up against a giant powerhouse with the crazy vicious spear. Let me tell you,
that's insane. That's insane. That's insane. That's
you can't go wrong with.
Please put that on next week. Put that on
Please
next week.
put
Don't put
please put
put a
Kushida
lot
and
of those
Rusev on
matches on next
week.
week, and don't put the Rhino match on Thursday. All right, get that shit ass match out on Thursday, so that way next Thursday we could have a banger of a fucking TNA show. But another big thing that happened, and this is kind of gonna wrap us up here for the podcast. But before we go into this last topic, we're gonna take a quick break from our stream partners and everything over from NordVPN. But when we come back, we're gonna talk about AAA Luchador partnering with TNA, which was a big thing that happened at Hard to Kill. The worlds collide is what they meant, and worlds definitely collided. And we're going to talk about all of that and some other things when we come back right from this commercial break.
Traveling to a restrictive country with internet censorship? If you want to access your country's websites and content you love securely, a VPN is the answer. With just a few clicks, NordVPN changes your virtual location. You can enjoy your favorite websites and services securely, as if you're home. Choose from over 5,000 servers in 60 countries and surf the internet with no restrictions.
And like they just said, of course, NordVPN is the faster than ever way to watch all of your wrestling shows anywhere in the country, even right here in the United States, at an easier and a fraction of the cost. Of course, NordVPN, our new stream partners, is down below. The link is down below. So definitely go ahead, check them out. And using that link does help us here at the Last Week of Wrestling podcast to make you bigger and better content each and every time we do something. But guys, of course, that is one of our amazing stream partners and none other than the Main Event Network guys over there from all on the mat, over the mat. Ah, shit, I forgot their podcast name. I apologize. It's been a long day. But yes, all those guys over there, the Wrestling Junkies, and so many more amazing people are over there, and definitely go check them out. They have amazing content as well. Wrestling Junkies, myself, and a whole slew of other great content creators over there just bring you guys as much wrestling content each and every week. I know that the Junkies are live right now as we're doing our podcast, so go over there and check them out right after this. Or if you want to dual stream the both of us, definitely go ahead, because we are all family when it comes to the Main Event Wrestling Network themselves. So definitely check us all out. All their links are down below in the description, as well as Leo and everyone else that we work with in between. But let's get right back into it. Buddy, AAA, Luchador, Style Wrestling, now a part of TNA family. When we heard this, when we saw this happen, how did we feel? What was the first thoughts that came to your head when you saw this partnership happening over at Hard to Kill just a few weeks ago?
I was definitely shocked. I will say that, because when I was thinking of worlds colliding, I was thinking of different other possibilities, maybe with a different promotion like a Stardom, or maybe like a Wow or something like that. I was not thinking of AAA, but I'm glad it is AAA, because I think this is a mutually beneficial relationship to both parties. It helps elevate AAA to the next level and helps TNA elevate themselves to the next level. And think of all the different matchups we can see, with them going to, each other's shows. We could see some TNA wrestlers pop up at a AAA. We could see some people, from AAA show up to TNA. We've seen Vikingo, and that match was one of our favorite matches of the night. Vikingo, Kushida, and Saban, all three different styles, and one of the very best in that ring from bell to bell. Let me tell you, Vikingo is on a run of his life with that championship. I think he's been championship for over 800 days, if I'm not mistaken. He's been champion for a while.
Yeah.
And counting. And I really don't even see an end goal where he's losing that belt.
No. I don't either. And you said it. I mean, Vikingo is probably one of my favorite luchador style wrestlers right now, next to Penta. Black Taurus is another one that I'm very excited to see each and every time he's on the screen. Commander,
Mm-hmm.
It's just Gravity is they really pump out some amazing style wrestling that I've never really seen. The only luchador style wrestling that I've known or that I've seen
Right.
is people like Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, and stuff that the WWE, WWF, WCW really has ever showcased me as I was a kid. So seeing that there's a whole different country that prides themselves on this luchador style wrestling, and now
Mhm.
we're trying to take it to a bigger masses with something like a TNA partnership is nothing but good news. This
It
is
is.
nothing but a positive thing for the wrestling community to now adapt a brand new culture of professional wrestling and now being showcased on a brand new time is awesome. This is awesome. This is great for the business. This is a great way to introduce more fun, exciting new competitors, ideas, and matches that we haven't seen before. Crazy men and women that are just going to risk it all to put themselves on the line for matches that we have to talk about each and every time that they go live. I mean, it's great. I'm so excited that this was the partnership that we got. I'm so excited for what is to come. Vikingo is in Snake Eyes, Hard to Kill. He's probably going to be in some more matches. We got
Mhm.
we got more people like Commander. I hear Black Taurus is coming to TNA to make some matches. I hear Commander is coming to TNA to make some matches. Gravity. Like all of those names that have been on AEW, that have been at MLW or New Japan or
Yep.
New Japan Strong or House of Glory or CZW, all of that is so exciting. This is a great time to be a wrestling fan. Like
Indeed.
the fact that we are expanding, we're still willing to expand our horizons with new cultures and take them on and put them on a bigger pedestal, on a bigger screen for a bigger audience to view. I'm all for it. I am such a fan of this type of working. I am such a fan of this type of networking that I cannot wait to see what is next for AAA because I know they've been struggling. I know that there's been a lot of talks that the owner can't pay his guys, and it's been a very rough couple of years for that company and
Yeah.
everything. And it's been a rough little while. And I'll be
Right.
honest, this partnership might boost them all in that right direction, might be able for them to now be able to get paid better, work more, paid more, work in different states, work in different countries, work anywhere they want, and not feel like they have to tone down themselves or feel like there's no opportunities on the table anymore. And I think that's great. There's now more ways for them to feed their families while they're on the road. So I think that's great. I really do. I
Yeah.
think it's a great thing and something that we need to see more of happen in wrestling as a whole. But I'm so for this. I'm
Yeah.
so for this. Vikingo's crazy.
He is.
He's
There's
trying.
no other way to put it. He's
Yeah, like
crazy.
he's just out of his mind, and
He
I'm
is.
so for it.
I
So
mean,
for it.
like you said, it's been a crazy week. I mean, so far we got Rumble coming up this week. We got
Yep.
2K24 being released, and the cover
Yep.
athletes be confirmed today.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a little bit. Of course, today, as we all know, WWE 2K24 cover athletes and some things have been confirmed. Arenas have been confirmed. Match types have been confirmed. And
I'll
of
actually
course,
pull it up to talk about it
yeah,
too.
my Rise stuff has been confirmed. So the standard edition is Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is going to be the standard copy. I'm going to pull it up here for everybody as well.
And I'm gonna
The
pull up the details as well. So we
yeah,
can
yeah,
look.
the WWE 2K24. We're gonna go images.
So actually, I'll
Yeah,
talk about some of the details as well. Kind of go the different modes that they will be having.
yeah,
So we got 2K Showcase of the Immortals. So we're getting 40 years of WrestleMania. That's a mode that we're going to be getting for 2K24. I'm
yep,
excited for that. The iconic roster with the likes of Bianca, Andre the Giant, Rhea Ripley, Roman Reigns, and more. New match types we have been able to see here. So we got the return of the special guest referee match type. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
We also have ambulance matches. Ambulance matches making their return. Casket matches and gauntlet matches making
Yeah.
their return to WWE.
Yeah.
You have gamer upgrades. You have my GM, my faction. I don't really care. My Rise. You have universe mode. You have the premium live events. You can start rivalries. Double title matches is a great addition that they just added. Double title matches for universe mode and the creation suite. Create a referee. Create a sign. You can create your own signs for the fans to have in your creation suite. I love that. You have your creator arenas, creator entrance, creator moveset, creator championship. Those are things that I think is definitely giving your average fan something to look forward to,
Yeah.
something to kind of give them a little bit of creativity to kind of be able to do different things that we haven't been able to do so far in the 2K franchise for a while. And I
Yeah.
believe they even just uploaded some potential screenshots, I believe. Let me pull these up. I think the screenshots they have is Rhea Ripley, Asuka, and Bianca. Let me make
Yep.
sure.
Roman, Bianca. I know Wolf sent it over in
Yeah,
the
I see.
in Twitter. Let me pull up
Hmm.
his things because he has some good
But
clips. So this
on the
is
TNA
yeah,
side
so
of
this is
things,
this is Asuka right here. Okay, look at that.
now that looks beautiful.
That looks crazy.
That looks
That looks
realistic.
crazy. This
Rhea
is Rhea
Ripley.
Ripley, which
Now
looks
she looks like
absolutely great. Then we also have Roman
Roman.
Reigns.
Looks
Looks
great.
so realistic. Of course, the American roller coaster, the never-ending story,
The Super
himself,
Saiyan
Cody.
Master.
Yep, Cody Rhodes. And then I think there's also here's this is what I wanted to pull up. So WWE 2K24 Arenas currently weekly shows 23 Raw, 23 SmackDown, and 23 NXT. We're also getting the Royal Rumble of last year. We're getting the WrestleMania of last year and the WrestleMania of this year as well, which is dope. We're also getting SmackDown 02, WCW
Ooh,
Nitro 98, WrestleMania
wow.
36, 33, 10,
30.
20, 30. We're getting 25. We're getting 13. We're getting 22. ECW One Night Stand again. We're getting WrestleMania 6 and WrestleMania 3 with more stuff to be revealed. I am so excited. Let me show everybody this here. I thought I was on the screen. I was on Twitter instead, which is never good because Twitter is a crazy place. So yeah, Raw 23, NXT. Then we got Rumble. We got Mania, this year's WrestleMania,
Oh,
SmackDown,
cool.
Nitro, 36, 30, 25, 30, 33, ECW 06, WrestleMania 22, 13, of course, 6 and 3, meaning the Andre the Giant match and everything that happened with Hulk Hogan and so much more. Bret Hart, Stone Cold. I mean, the list goes on. The fact that we're getting casket matches again, the fact that we're getting the special referees again,
Ambulance, yeah.
ambulance mode again, like this is wrestling. These are wrestling games that I grew up on, that you grew up on, that we've been waiting for. We've been wanting gauntlet matches now back and available again. Like, dude, this is great.
It
This is
is.
so exciting. And it's a lot more of an updated, more current roster, which is
Yep.
good. We need that. We always feel like every time we get a new 2K game, it's always the year prior, 2 years prior, and it's just a copy and paste. So maybe this time around we'll get more of a current roster, which is what it looks like.
Yeah.
And maybe we're going to get a different story mode. See, now that's the
Yeah.
question: is like, what story are we going to be telling? Are we telling the Cody Rhodes story? Because that pack, the American Nightmare pack, comes with Dusty Rhodes, Cody Rhodes with the plastic face mask,
Yeah.
Stardust, and we also got superstar Billy Graham as well as a DLC first day pack as well, which is very exciting. But again, like standard cover is Cody. Bianca and Rhea Ripley making the first ever dual cover women on the cover on a video
History.
game is history.
She's the
Amazing history.
first black woman or black, African American, I think, that actually has graced a cover, which is huge.
Huge.
That's not just huge for her, but huge for wrestling fans all across the world.
Yeah.
Because something that has never been done, something that can't really be replicated again. Yeah, people can be on the cover after, but people are always going to be like, oh, Bianca was the first to do that. That's what people are going to be talking about. That's what people are going to be. And you look at the detail that they have on the covers. Like, you have the background for the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. You have that Judgment Day background, which I love. And you have that EST background for Bianca. And you have the 40 years of WrestleMania with the numerous stars. And when I looked at that cover for this morning, because I was talking about it, I said, soon as I seen that cover, I got flashbacks to SmackDown versus Raw. Because think about SmackDown versus Raw when we got that yearly release for SmackDown versus Raw. Numerous wrestlers were on the cover.
Yep.
From women's wrestlers to male wrestlers. We were getting numerous wrestlers. And I was begging for them to do that again. And we're finally getting that. And I hope they do more of that in the future.
Yeah, I do too. I think this is great. This is so exciting. I'm so excited to see what is next for WWE, especially in the gaming industry. They're a big name in that gaming industry. They're a big staple when it comes to wrestling games. This is one of their other ways of making their bread and butter, besides, of course, their shows and merch and everything else in between. And I think this might be that step forward with, of course, Triple H at the helm of it all, kind of gearing and directing some of this stuff is very exciting. I'm excited to see what the music is. I'm excited to see what the match modes are like. I'm excited to see what we're going to be playing as, how we're going to be playing the game mechanics. We're going to be doing a review on this game. I'll tell you that right now, right off the bat. When this game comes out, we might not do it right away. We might do it a few days later, or the weekend after or something, or the weekend after it's released. It looks like it's a March release.
March 5th, if you get the deluxe or the 40 years of WrestleMania edition, you get it March 5th, 3 days early. But if you get the standard edition, you'll get it 3 days later. So that's pretty much what's going to happen.
So March 8th is the due
March
date.
5th. Okay. March 5th.
5th for the early, but 8th for the regular.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you now, I'll be buying it.
I'm pre-ordering mine this week.
Yep, I'm pre-ordering it. There's no question about it. I'm getting the 40 years, hands down.
And before we move on to anything else, I also just looked. We're also getting for TNA. I forgot to mention that we also got another return to TNA. I think, or somebody that stepped up and was brought into TNA, a new star formerly from WWE, Simon Gotch. Gotch.
Nikki Cross's husband.
Simon Gotch stepped up to Josh Alexander, and it looks like potentially Josh Alexander's next feud going forward. Simon Gotch, one half of the Vaudevillains, former NXT Tag Team Champions.
From Sanity, right?
No, Vaudevillains.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a guy from Sanity that's also in TNA.
Yeah.
Coming, which is Nikki Cross's husband.
Killian Dane. Yeah, Killian Dane is probably coming soon.
Killian Dane is also coming as well, as what I read this morning.
Beast of Belfast.
Yes, I'm very excited to see him as well, which begs the question, will Nikki maybe come over sometime and we actually get a Nikki Cross Alien Zane push in 2024?
Or maybe
I'm excited.
It depends on our contract. It depends on our contract.
It depends on the contract. But that is it. That is it for us today. I want to thank Leo, of course, for hanging out with me, talking all things TNA, Independent, New Japan, and of course, WWE 2K24 games. I forgot to ask you, what system are we playing this on? Is this a day one buy?
I'm preparing this day one. I'm going pre-order this week. I'm probably gonna get the deluxe because I just love the fact of seeing 2 women on the cover. Like
Yeah.
I love 40 years of WrestleMania, but I gotta go the 2 women on the cover. I have to. I
No,
gotta
that's fair.
get
It's a good pick.
Bianca and Rhea on the cover. Like that cover's so dope. I don't think people are gonna get the standard edition. You're probably gonna get standard, but the majority is probably going to get 40 years of WrestleMania or the deluxe edition. Sorry, Cody, you did achieve your dream and be coming on the cover, but
He was on the cover last year.
For 2K23, John Cena. John Cena was on the cover. John Cena was on the cover for all 3. And the year before that, Rey Mysterio was on the cover.
Noah's saying, don't know if I'll pre-order yet. Depends on the modding scene, what the modding scene is. We know there's a lot of creative wrestler stuff. It doesn't seem like there's going to be a harder time to maybe create a wrestler for this. So
it doesn't seem like it.
It looks like maybe we might get a lot of that back, which is nice. But I mean, hey man, what match are you going to do first? Let's talk about that real quick. I'll be honest. I already know exactly what I'm doing. So you start though.
I feel like usually when I hop into these games, I usually go straight to what I'm going to be creating content for, like my rise, pretty much be doing like my whole career mode. But if I play a match before that, I'm going to probably do maybe a multi-man match or something like that. And also, I forgot, we didn't touch on this. Backstage wrestling, you can have backstage matches with multiple competitors instead of it being one-on-one. You can have up to like 6 wrestlers and probably beyond that having a backstage brawl. That is so fun.
That just added to my story now.
Now I'm going to be probably playing a casket match, probably with Undertaker and Kane just going back to their match before, or probably doing a ambulance match with some of the women's wrestlers or something. I don't know. I might have to do. I know she's not in this year's. I know she was in last year's, but I might have to do Liv Morgan, or probably doing some type of matches with her, or maybe create a story with her in universe mode, because I know you can have gauntlet matches, or maybe create a moment for her in that mode. I feel like that's something I can get invested into.
So I'll be honest. Everybody that's a champion already is vacant.
Vacant. Now that's a great way. I thought of something.
And now what we're going to do is gauntlet matches. So the gauntlet match, first gauntlet match is going to be the Intercontinental Championship.
Okay.
And Gunther's going to be in the gauntlet match.
And he defends.
I'm going to pick. It's going to be a random selection of cruiserweights against Gunther. And then the final match is going to be a casket match for the Intercontinental Championship.
Chris says Bayley versus Liv Morgan in a casket match. Bayley versus Liv Morgan Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley in an ambulance match. I mean, Liv Morgan did get put on this injury list by Rhea Ripley, so it does make sense for the story.
So that's going to be one with that stipulation. I'll probably do another gauntlet for the United States and an ambulance match, and then I'm going to do a gauntlet match with something happening in between, where I'll do the backstage segment of a bunch of them all backstage fighting each other, and then the winner.
Tag teams. Whew. If we can do tag teams, that's going to be interesting, man.
I'll be honest. Tell you. See, now, can you look up and see if it's cross-plat?
They have a cross-platform edition. I think cross-gen. I think.
But now, is that only for the deluxe and WrestleMania 40? Like, if people get the standard edition, can you still do cross-plat?
Let me look. Let me look real quick.
Because I'm just thinking out loud here, everybody. But I'm thinking out loud because this might be happening. If everybody joins the Discord server, and only if you join the Discord server, we will make our own community wrestling show. We could do like our own creator universe thing through the Discord server. Myself, you, Leo, maybe Justin, Byron,
that's
Willie,
what we were doing last year.
Wolf,
we're gonna have to do that.
And maybe some fans
Make it a
over on the
series.
show and stuff, people listening overseas on Spotify, Apple Podcast. Go ahead, make sure you hit that Discord link in the description. Make sure don't do it while you're driving, please.
Please don't.
Pull over, do it, and then go back to wherever you're going. Do it during work or whatever. But don't do it while you're driving. That's bad. Unless you're not the driver. If you're the passenger, then that's fine. But yeah. Well, if you're the passenger, you're not driving. You know what I mean? Like you're not.
Yeah.
There's a responsibility, but it's very light. You know what I mean? It's not not a heavy responsibility. But nonetheless, we can maybe do something like that. We'll talk about it more.
Does not say.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll keep an eye out. I'm going to keep an eye out for it because I would love to hang with all of you amazing, great people. And, of course, all of us here. Because maybe what we could do is like the podcasters versus the community, like WrestleMania.
Or War Games.
Like a War Games. Yeah. We could do like gauntlet matches. Like everybody gets to create their own player. And then like us, our best four that won our gauntlet matches by ourselves versus their best four that won their gauntlet matches by themselves, all in a War Games match for the Last Week of Wrestling podcast title or some shit.
Take it a step further, Dylan. I mean, you could do Money in the Bank. You could do Money in the Bank. Think about another one. Royal Rumble, because Royal Rumble is coming up. 15 of the podcasters versus 15 of the people in the community.
So Noah say, so can I be the one to make the crazy cause or what? Because I will own everyone in this game. Noah, sit your ass down.
I need to do my
Sit your ass down. You ain't doing shit. Let's just be honest here.
I need you to do my entrance. I need you to do my entrance.
Listen. If we could truly mod Noah, then me and you will sit down and I'll get everyone's ideas and we'll make it happen. Like we can make our own weekly shows. We could make our like twice a week show. We could make a pay-per-view every month or whenever they do their pay-per-views, we'll do our own version of the pay-per-views.
Right.
And stuff. This could be really fun.
This could be really fun because
this could be really fun and really a great way to get the community together.
Exactly.
So listen, I'm telling everybody now, everybody listening now, everybody listening later, everybody watching later, please go to the Discord. It's free to sign up. Come over, hang out with us in the Discord. If you're going to be getting the copy of the game, make sure you let us know. Mm-hmm. Let us know what system, because if there's cross-plat, then we're going to have a whole bunch of y'all get together. We will create an actual roster with actual belts, with actual divisions, with weekly shows, pay-per-views, and all. And we could really make this a big thing. We could make this a big thing. So, yeah. And then we'll have there'll be like the podcaster belt. There could be like the best podcaster belt. There could be like a cruiserweight. There could be a heavyweight. There could be a hardcore. There could be a European. We'll do like 7 belts.
Hey, we got a confirmation. So I just looked it up. It says they did do some talking to the developers and stuff like that. Players will be able to transfer their WWE 2K24 save data between last gen and current gen consoles. Additionally, players can also switch between platforms since the title supports cross-platform progression, as mentioned.
Then we're doing the community. Now we just need to see what the mods are, because I know Noah's very good at that. So we're gonna put a pin on this. I'm gonna write it down on my little notepad here. I bought notepads, by the way, so I can start, because I talk about so much shit, and I always keep forgetting about what I'm talking about. So we're going to check mod ability for 2K24. If so, we will make a show and whatchamacallit, and pay-per-views and belts. Yeah, because this could be something really fun. This could be something really fun for the community. Listen, we could get a whole bunch of podcasters involved first. Like if the community can't get involved or whatever, which I really hope they can, but if the community can get involved, that's the point of it. We're gonna get some podcasters involved, and we're gonna I'll have a little Discord mini, like a little server inside the server itself, like a sub channel or whatever they're called,
Right.
for the Creator Pro, and we're gonna do our own thing, and yeah, like we could have, the podcaster belt, where like who's the best podcaster? It could be myself, you, Byron, Asa, all going at each other, some shit like that. So
Hey,
this could be really fun.
you could
This
have
could
your
be
own.
really fun.
We can have Money in the Bank be involved. I mean, we can have the briefcase. You can cash in for the title. Winning the Royal Rumble. Having a Royal Rumble, having 15 and 15.
Yeah.
If we can have 15 podcasts and 15 of people
We
from
would
the
just need
community.
to make the time
Right.
for it. We'd have to move some stuff around for me and everybody else, and then we would do a like a twice a week weekly show, twice a month. So like at the beginning and the end, and then after 4 of them, we'll go into a thing, or if we could do 3 of them, then the 5th one will go into a pay-per-view or something.
Right.
We'll figure it out. But
yeah, because we still have time to plan everything out.
Yeah. So March 8th is when it's available to everybody in the world. If you get it early, that's March 5th. I'm going to try to get it March 5th, which is a
Same
Tuesday.
Here. Yes. Same day as NXT.
Yeah. Wow. That's the day that I come back from Revolution.
No way. Hey, that's a huge way to come back. Come back from Revolution?
I come back Monday, and then Tuesday I go to work or whatever. But yeah, I come back the week that this game comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's a great way.
Now I have to really save, because I know I'm going to North Carolina for a whole bunch of shit. But
yeah,
now I need to.
Because if you're getting the deluxe, you're going to be having to pay $100.
No, I'm getting the WrestleMania 40.
Yeah, that's $100, I believe, as well. So, dang.
All right.
Yeah,
Noah said that, but yeah, I will handle the logos, song imports, etc. I'm already learning how to do Titantron, so I'm down for it. Dope. Me, Vin, and Mo volunteer for the trios division. All right, we already got a trios division. Let's go.
So we're gonna have a women's division, men's division, tag division.
So what we'll do is, so I use StreamYard for all of this stuff.
Right.
But I could use Streamlabs to stream everything. Or what we could do is we could just record. We'll have to figure out how we're gonna do it.
Because we're gonna do StreamYard still.
Can we?
We can still use StreamYard because that's kind of
how do you do it on an Xbox? Because I have an Xbox.
Okay, so there's a way of doing it so you can stream it to your computer. It's easier for me because if I have a PlayStation, right? It's easier because all I have to do is set up, because there's an app that you can download which allows it to stream from like your TV, for example, to your PC. So you have to download the app. But if you have Xbox, you have the Xbox app. You have to link it from whatever you're playing it from. So if you're playing it originally, if it's hooked up to your TV, you have to link it to the app. And if it's on like your monitor, right, you can link it on there, and it'll go straight there. And what you have to do is have it set up as a window, right? You can set up as a window, like you have these different windows open. You're going to set it up as that. So when you go to, for example, go to like where it says present, right? You can go to present, and then it's going to be on one of the windows. You're going to pick the window that it's saved on, and it'll pull it up from there.
Okay, we'll figure it out. We'll probably do a couple test runs before we go live and stuff, but maybe we'll do this by Mania. We'll try to get it started by the end of March type of thing.
Okay.
Like a week or two before March ends and everything. So that way we kind of can figure it out. We already got a trios tag. Europe, what's up, Chris? How are we, buddy? So, all right, let's get out of here because I know Raw starts in 30 and Seth Rollins has a lot to say with everything. So we're going to get out of here. thank you, of course, everybody, so much. Thank you, of course, Leo, for hanging out with us. Of course, none other than Chris, Noah, Eric, and of course, ourselves, doing all the best that we can do to make wrestling a bigger and better and beautiful place. But this week, we have a lot, guys. We got a lot going on. This week, we have none other than tomorrow's Who Booked This Shit? A Royal Rumble show. Of course, tomorrow it's myself, Asa, and Byron and Leo. We are going to talk about the Royal Rumble card tomorrow night, 8 p.m. And after that, we of course have AEW Dynamite watch along right here on the channel, and none other than the wrestling predictions for Royal Rumble this coming Friday. So book this shit. Who Booked This Shit is Tuesday. Predictions is Friday. Dynamite Wednesday. Of course, Saturday being the Royal Rumble itself, the watch along we're doing right here. But the biggest day of them all, this coming Thursday. That's right. You see them. It is your own House of Glory's own tag team champions. This picture here is the first time this picture's ever been looked at on the internet by anybody else except for these two guys. I've been honored and gifted the time to actually have this picture for their episode, which of course is the main event interview. These guys are coming on this Thursday, 7 p.m. to talk about their career, their journey into wrestling, and so much more. These guys, I want to quickly say, have wrestled the Briscoes not once, not twice, but 3 times. ABC, they've wrestled the Rep, they've wrestled Motor City, they've wrestled the Rascals, and so much more. Guys, I cannot stress this enough. This Thursday is going to be a big, big interview with them all. So make sure you tune in to that one, because this is going to be an awesome interview with all of them. Of course, myself, I got like 10 questions already for these guys. It's going to be a long one. Not a crazy long one, but it'll be a nice long one, a fun one. And that's it for us. Leo, do you got anything for the good people?
Yeah, so if you guys haven't had the opportunity, right now my channel is Kicking It with Leo. I do wrestling content. Pretty much posting daily wrestling content. If you guys aren't aware of the situation that's happened, I did lose my channel very recently, so I had to restart my channel. So right now I'm at 40 subscribers. I was at a little bit more, but I lost a few, I guess because some of them were bots. But we're at 40. We're trying to get to 50, but the ultimate goal I keep saying, and I'm going to continue to say, because I believe it's going to happen, and that is 10K by the end of this year. I know we can do it as a wrestling community. I know I can do it as a wrestling content creator. So let's all come together and make it happen for the greater good.
Awesome. Awesome. I love that. Look at that queso. That queso click right there. I don't know if you guys know about queso, but queso's probably one of the funniest streamers out on the internet. If you guys don't know who we're talking about, go look up queso and just watch the chat. The people that are in his Discord community are the most meanest people ever, but they are the funniest, but they make the greatest content. But guys, I tell you now, this is going to be one hell of a show. And I cannot wait. This whole week is going to be wild. Yeah. There is going to be no show this Sunday coming up because I will be on the show with none other than I forgot the kid's name. Hold on a second. I got to Google it quick. I'm so unprepared. This is what happens when you take a quick nap and then your brain gets fucking fried. And then
it happens, man. I mean, it's just the life of a content creator, man. We all
listen. I took a nap and I shouldn't have took a nap today. It fucked my whole. It fucked my whole.
You need your rest. You got to
fuck my whole day up because I woke up and I was like, oh shit, it's Tuesday, thinking I had work. So I was like, shit. And I was like,
it was Monday.
I'm like, what day is it? My mom was like, it's Monday. And I'm like, okay, all right. I think I'm good. Like, yeah,
because I mean, we got a very busy week. I mean, I'm gonna be on your channel a lot this week, so people, if they aren't used to me, they're gonna have to get used to it.
Yeah, facts. But Richie Mars, I'm gonna be on his show. We're gonna talk about the demographics of wrestling and a whole bunch of awesome more stuff. That, I believe, is starting at 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll know more information as we go along and get ready for that Sunday. And then next week's just a slew of content as well from Tuesday on, because, of course, we're going to be doing TNA next Thursday as well. But that is it. Go rest up. Go get ready for Seth Rollins and, of course, Monday Night Raw. And we will see you tomorrow for Who Booked This Shit Royal Rumble card. And, of course, make sure you check out our Spotify. Make sure you check out the Apple Podcasts. I know there's a lot of streamers and stuff like that do both. I do both as well. So definitely go check us out. Listen to us over there, over on Spotify. Like I said, all the links to everything is in the description. So make sure you go check all of that great content out. And we will see you all next time. Peace.
Start to feel like I'm dreaming, man. Should have seen that look on my face. But I'm so low key, I'm an anonymous G that I left no trace. But when I step one foot in the room, I'm a